was a stupid thing to do. What were you thinking? Oh my God, what are you doing? Now, you may not have heard these things, but I have. And maybe you've heard something similar. It was very fortuitous that my speech about responding to criticism fit in very well with the theme. About how do you respond when you hear criticism. I'm going to give you what I call the QVC model. Now, this is not something you can buy on TV, but QVC are going to be the points that I will deal with for the first part. Now, responding to criticism is something which takes a little bit more than I have time for here, hence part one. I'm not sure how many parts there are. Maybe it's a never-ending battle. QVC, the first Q, stands for quit taking it personally. Abbreviated Q-tip. What you should understand about criticism is that it's never about you. It's always about the one who's criticizing. Because when you criticize someone, you're pointing a finger at them. And when you point a finger at somebody else, there are three that are pointing back. So the person doing the criticism is pointing the finger, but is really not expressing something about the other person. They are expressing a pain which they are experiencing themselves. And so the first item to remember when you ever hear criticism is quit taking it personally. It's not about you. The second letter is V. V stands for validate. Now, instead of gainsaying what the other person is telling you by contradicting, arguing, or saying, no, you're wrong. No, you're the bad one. I'm crazy. You're the crazy one. I'm sorry, I'm sounding like a politician these days. Would that our political discourse understood what I'm trying to tell you. Because instead of criticizing the other person, they could learn to validate them. Because underneath the criticism is some valid concern. And so learn to listen to what it is they're expressing. Learn to hear the pain beneath what they're saying to you. Learn to hear the criticism not for what it is, but for what the message they're trying to tell you is. For example, that was a stupid thing to do. Well, I could say, I'm stupid, you're the stupid one. Or I could say, so you would do it differently. Isn't that what they're expressing? And I could continue and validate the concern that they're having. Not only are they disagreeing with what they're seeing, but they're disagreeing with it in such a way that is painful to them. And so by validating, I get in touch with their pain. So I not only hear what it is that they want to express, but I also validate the feelings that are coming up. So quit taking it personally and validate their pain. Now, learning how to validate their pain is something which I will discuss in future installments of this, because it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing to validate someone when you disagree. When all of your instincts say to gainsay them, to contradict, to say, no, you're wrong, to take it personally. It's natural to take it personally when we hear criticism. But if we quit taking it personally, and if we validate that other person, then what we are doing is we are establishing a connection for a meaningful dialogue. And dialogue is what communication is all about, which leads to the third letter, C. Consider. Consider the other person's viewpoint. Is your point of view so right and so universally true that anybody else couldn't possibly have anything different to think about it? I don't think so. Now, I have some pretty strong opinions, as some of you may know, and some of you may or may not agree with. And yet, it is so important to recognize that everybody's opinion, everybody's thoughts, everybody's feelings have an inalienable right to be. And so by validating and then considering the other point of view, we're able to have a meaningful dialogue, as opposed to what's happening in the political elections this year. But imagine a relationship that you care about. If you care about a relationship, then there will be conflict. There will be points of disagreement. There will be hurt feelings. If you care about the relationship, then it is important to validate. It is important to also consider the other person's point of view. Because no matter how much you may disagree with it, there is always something in what they have to say that's of value, and that would be of value to you to consider. And so, when you hear criticism, remember QVC. Quit taking it personally, validate their thoughts and feelings, and consider what it is that they may have to say that you could learn. Madam Toastmaster.